Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is Weems, founder and creator of Health Why Even Necessary. So I wanted to get on here real quick to talk about a video and also talk about some very basic things. And I'm a huge proponent of us asking quality questions. I always tell you all, your quality question determines your quality of health. Therefore, it's beneficial to understand how to ask quality questions. It's beneficial to learn how to have a critical lens, an analytical lens when looking at things in general, but especially with this whole thing that we're going through right now, such as the pandemic. Because if all you're around is just a bunch of yes men and yes women who just follow whatever they're being told, you're going to get hustled, you're going to get abused, you're going to be enslaved in somehow. So I want us to all kind of recap where we're at right now. We're roughly 18 months into this whole pandemic thing, roughly. And, you know, when we think about viruses, it's very, very easy to also think about what they call natural immunity. Natural immunity is one of those things that kind of got us to where we're at as humans. Because humans, and really any species that has survived in an environment for any amount of time, is designed to actually survive in its environment. And they have specific things that allows it to survive and thrive in that environment. For the human, it's our immune system. And so natural immunity means that once you get exposed to some type of pathogen, your body usually learns how to adapt to it, identify it, and fight it off, and be ready to do the same thing next time it's exposed to that. Natural immunity is one of those things where it's 101 when it comes to the immune system. Natural immunity, for people who are, whether you're a doctor, a nurse practitioner, PA, or whatever like that, when you get into those classes, this is one of the things you learn on day one. Now, when I say day one, I don't mean like the very first day of class you're learning about it. I mean that very early in the class, you're learning about natural immunity, the immune system, the ability to adapt to your environment, the ability to adapt to pathogens that you may be exposed to, and how your body learns to identify it in order to survive and thrive. So once again, we're about 18 months into this thing. And when we look at our fearless leader, the guy who's supposed to be in charge of helping to lead us out of this whole pandemic, who's advising us and making the rules and recommendations, this guy has a tremendous amount of controversy that is surrounding him, that he has his hands in. Everything from the lab leak, everything from the possible creation of this virus that we're dealing with, gain of function, so many things that he has his hand in, that his name is involved in. And, even if I wanted to be naive and push those things aside, this video I'm about to show you doesn't sit well with me. It does not sit well with the guy who's supposed to be leading us out of this pandemic. All right. So even if I want to push aside the questions that surround him with the AIDS epidemic and his immediate jump to wanting to create a vaccine and put people on a medication called AZT and try to discredit Bactrim, yeah, that's a whole different story. Even if I wanted to push aside the idea that he may have been involved in the creation of this virus that we're dealing with, this pandemic that we're dealing with, even if I want to push aside that he may have been doing gain of function research, even if I want to put all that aside because I don't know, this video right here would cause a great amount of concern for me because this is something you should know. So let's just go to the video.
And just real quickly, there was a study that came out of Israel about natural immunity, and basically the headline was that natural immunity provides a lot of protection.
All right, so real quick, the study that Dr. Sanjay Gupta is referring to is this study right here. So A study out of Israel is showing that natural immunity, meaning that people who have been exposed to the virus, dealt with the virus, recovered, and are still living, have a more robust immune response as pertains to this virus. They're showing that the natural immunity is 10 to 25 times stronger than vaccines. You would think that, one, that study would be headline news, front page on all magazines, all newspapers. You would think that it would be everywhere. However, you have to really dig and search to find this information. But this is the study that Dr. Sanjay Gupta is referring to. Let's continue.
And just real quickly, there was a study that came out of Israel about natural immunity, and basically the headline was that natural immunity provides a lot of protection, even better than the vaccines alone. What are people to make of that? So as we talk about vaccine mandates, I get calls all the time. People say, "I've already had COVID, I'm protected," and now the study says maybe even more protected than the vaccine alone. Should they also get the vaccine? How do you make the case to them?
So right here, what Dr. Sanjay Gupta is referring to is the fact that last year there was no vaccine. And so millions of people were exposed to the virus and recovered. So he's coming up with this crazy idea that those people who were exposed to the virus and recovered from the virus, maybe they have natural immunity, right? And the reason why he's making this crazy idea is because that's the way things have worked for thousands of years. That is how we have got to this point where we're at right now with this whole thing called humanity. We've been able to adapt to our environment. We've been able to overcome viruses based on our immune system. This is not a new concept, and of course I'm being sarcastic when I say crazy idea, but this is not a new concept, right? Natural immunity is not something that's brand new. It's not groundbreaking. In fact, you would think that this is 101. You would think that the idea, the concept of natural immunity is day one. Well, let's see what our fearless leader has to say about that. And one last thing before we hear what our fearless leader has to say about natural immunity. Also, in addition to the possibility of people being exposed to it without a vaccine and having natural immunity, they now have the antibodies. Theoretically, they should have antibodies to it. In fact, we have verified that people have antibodies to the virus after they've been exposed. And so since they have the antibodies to this virus, and the goal and the idea behind getting the vaccine is so that you can get the antibodies, if you already had the antibodies, what would be the point of getting the vaccine? Because the vaccine is supposed to expose you mildly to the virus so that you can create antibodies so that when exposed to the virus, you're likely to do better with the virus as far as recovery goes. Well, if I already have the antibodies, why do I need to take your synthetic form of the virus to get the antibodies? Which, once again, that's a quality question. Let's hear what this guy says.
That's a really good point, Sanjay. I don't have a really firm answer for you on that. That's something that we're going to have to discuss regarding the durability of the response.
Dr. Fauci says, that's a really good point. I don't have a firm answer for you. Once again, we are 18 months into this whole pandemic. This other doctor asks a question about natural immunity. Natural immunity is a 101 concept. It's not something you learn once you get more advanced into learning anything medical. It's 101. It's basics. It's day one. Our fearless leader, who is responsible for getting us out of this pandemic, says, that's a really good point. I don't have a firm answer for you. How, Sway? Like, How do you not have a firm answer for natural immunity, which is our default when it comes to our immune system? And then he goes on to say that this is something we should sit down and talk about. We're 18 months into the pandemic, bro. What do you mean we should sit down and talk about it? Like, why was that not day one sit down and talk about? Like, how did you gloss over natural immunity and immediately jump to, we got to find treatment, we got to find a vaccine for this? Why was natural immunity not studied? Why was natural immunity not talked about? That's what he said. He said, that's a really good point. We should talk about it. Why was it not already spoken about? We're 18 months into this thing. You're the leader leading us out of this pandemic. You specialize in immunity. Why is natural immunity something you have to now sit down and talk about? Like, how did you skip the basics and jump all the way to vaccine talk? This doesn't sit right with me at all. Once again, even if I wanted to be gullible and naive and disregard his questionable history as pertains to lab leak, gain of function, the AIDS epidemic, even if I wanted to forget and push aside all those things, it's hard for me to push aside the immune guy, the immune specialist, saying that natural immunity is a good point and it's something that we should sit down and talk about. How was this not already spoken about? How do you not already know how people who have natural immunity would do when exposed to this virus again? Why don't you know that? Let's hear what else he has to say.
You know, that's a really good point, Sanjay. I don't have a really firm answer for you on that. That's something that we're going to have to discuss regarding the durability of the response. The one thing the paper from Israel didn't tell you is whether or not, as high as the protection is with natural infection, what's the durability compared to the durability of a vaccine. So it is conceivable that you got infected, you're protected, but you may not be protected for an indefinite period of time. So I think that is something that we need to sit down and discuss seriously, because you very appropriately pointed out it is an issue, and there could be an argument for saying what you said.
And so what does he do? He brings it back to the vaccine. How does he do it? By questioning the durability of our natural immunity, by questioning the durability of our natural immune response. That's how he brings it back to the vaccine. And he says that, you bring up a good point, but what the paper doesn't tell you, so he gets a little energy. He gets a little energy when he's about to cross over into his baby, which is the vaccine. He tells you that it doesn't tell you what the durability of the vaccine, it doesn't tell you what the durability of your natural immune response would be compared to the durability of the vaccine. And so he's saying, yeah, you could be naturally exposed and have a natural immunity to it, but you don't know how long that's going to last. He's saying that as if the durability of the vaccine is on point, right? Well, riddle me this, Batman. If the durability of the vaccine is so strong and so much better than natural immunity, then why are you talking about a booster shot? And why did you just come out and say the other day that we should go ahead and get ready to normalize the idea of getting a booster shot and getting these vaccines every single year? How durable is that? Over in Israel, they're now going on their fourth shot because they're not seeing the response that they want to see from the vaccines as it pertains to the actual virus. I find this troubling, that you would question the durability of natural immunity while glossing over the fact that you yourself are now saying that we should go ahead and get ready to get a third shot, a booster, because we know that the vaccine efficacy starts to wean off over time. What are you talking about durability? And why are you over here flexing the vaccine and its durability when you said yourself that we have to get a booster shot because the durability, it starts to wean off? And you're over here flexing on natural immunity as if your vaccines are so much stronger, when the study is telling us, like, he doesn't sound happy about this. Like, he doesn't sound like he's thrilled that, all right, cool, like a lot of people probably have natural immunity too. It's like, you would think that this is going to be something that's great, right? Like, you should be like, man, I'm so happy to see that people who have already been exposed now have natural immunity to it. Now we can look at, possibly giving the vaccine to other places that need it, because people who were exposed have natural immunity and they should be fine if they're exposed to it again. You would think that, he would be happy about this, but he doesn't sound pleased, because he immediately goes and pretty much takes a crap on natural immunity in order to big up his vaccine, which is very strange, because if I have to get a vaccine 3 times in a calendar year, how durable is it? Over in Israel, they're doing the shot 4 times within a calendar year. How durable is this thing? For you to be talking about durability and you're doing it for the 3rd time and telling us to get ready to do this annually 3 times, how durable is it? So I want you to think for yourselves. I know it's very easy to get wrapped up in, team red, team blue. People have, made this a political thing. I want you to make this a common sense thing. I want you to make this a health thing. This is your king. This is your leader. This guy, this specialist, this expert in his field, is telling you 18 months into it, a conversation about natural immunity is a good point, and that we should sit down and talk about it. You always hear me say, I always ask the question, is you slick or is you stupid? These folks are not stupid whatsoever. They're not. They're very much intelligent. In fact, in order to lie to people, a lot of times you have to know more about a topic than the person who has basic information about it, because you have to lie in a way where you're thinking 5 steps ahead. So I don't think I know he's competent in this. And in fact, when you look at his old videos and his old recommendations, matter of fact, let's go ahead and put that video up right now.
Best way for me to prevent getting an infectious disease and having to have you as my doctor is what? Wearing a mask?
No.
Somebody do that? I can see they're ready to sneeze or cough, walk away.
You avoid all the paranoid aspects and do something positive. A, good diet. B, you don't smoke, I know. Get good sleep. I think the normal, low-tech, healthy things are the best thing that you can do, David, to stay healthy.
So it's clear to see that Dr. Fauci knows very well about the importance of a good diet, exercise, sleep. He knows the importance because he just told that guy in this interview that these are the basics. Once again, even if I want to be naive and gullible and I want to push aside all of the other things that, Dr. Fauci has his hands in, even if I want to push all those things aside, I would also have to ask myself, why hasn't he, along with the vaccine campaign, also had a campaign about healthy living? Like, if anybody is going to be the guy who could radically get the idea out there that we should be eating healthier, that we should be exercising, that we should be drinking more water, it would be him. Because obviously people would listen. Because obviously we as a society, as a world almost, have really decreased a decent amount of our common sense thinking in order to listen to what this guy is saying while ignoring the fundamentals. And so if anybody can get the message across that we have to work on our health, what you eat is extremely important during this time. What you drink is extremely important during these times. You need to be moving. You need to be taking vitamin D. If anybody could get that point across, it would be that guy. Why is he not going around talking about the things that he was talking about before the pandemic? Because that would be extremely helpful. So I don't know. I'm not telling you all what to think, but I am asking you all to think for yourself. Let go of the whole team red, blue, all the political crap. because at the end of the day, this is your life, this is your freedom, this is your liberty. All these things are being infringed upon right now. And the more you allow them to creep and take from you, you got to understand, whatever they're taking, whatever laws and rules and mandates they're making, they're not giving that power back. The same thing with the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act, once 9/11 happened and they started making these rules, they're not giving those powers and that ability back. They're like, gotcha. We're not giving it back. And so if we continue to just sit back and allow them to make these mandates and allow them to flex and bully and, do this or you're going to lose your job. If we continue to allow them to do this, they're going to continue to creep closer and closer and closer until they have everything. And once they have those things, they're not giving it back. They're not giving it back. So that's all I wanted to show you. That's all I want to talk about. You think about it for yourself. All right. Once again, at the end of the day, your health is your responsibility. Your health is your responsibility. This is not something that you can outsource. You can outsource, but if you outsource it, get ready to be hustled. If you outsource it, get ready to get logic and advice and recommendations such as the ones that are being given from someone like our fearless leader. All right. Get ready to be given advice and recommendation that may be coming from a stance of financial ties. So you have to be doing logical research, thinking for yourself, because your health is your responsibility. So like I always say, please drink water, exercise, get moving, walk, push-ups, jumping jacks. You have to get moving. Cut out the sodas and the juices. That is crap. That is making you sicker. It is you can't say that it's improving your health, right? So let that stuff go. The processed foods, the donuts, the Twinkies, the pancakes, the cereals, all of that stuff is decreasing your quality of health. And right now, you want to be increasing your quality of health. So push that stuff aside, let it go, throw it away. Also, vitamin D, sun exposure, get outside, get fresh air. And please, I ain't gonna do that. Get fresh air. Also get sun exposure. And if you live in an area where getting sunlight is a problem, get vitamin D. And yes, we sell vitamin D. This is a absolutely shameless plug. We sell vitamin D. If you want more information on the vitamin D, the link is in the description. But please make sure your vitamin D levels are where they need to be. Zinc and vitamin C have also shown to be very effective as it pertains to strengthening your immune system. Also, cut out that constant infusion of fear media. That is really clouding a lot of people's judgment. It's making people take action based off impulsivity. They are decreasing their logic, and they're going along with things just because they have been pushed into this corner of fear where, all right, let me just go ahead and do it. That's not a good way to live. That's not a good way to make decisions. And it's definitely not a good way to thrive. So please cut off all of the fear media that you're getting on a daily basis. It's not helping you out. All right. So as always, I hope this video was of some value to you. If it was, please, share the video out with your family and friends. I just want you all to think. A lot of people are not being exposed to the other side of the information that's coming out on a daily basis. That should really make us all question these folks who are in charge of getting us out of this pandemic, or in charge of helping us improve our health. If you're not seeing the other side, then you may think that these people are perfect and that they are truly here to help us and save us. I'm here to tell you that they're not. Obviously, they're not. Having a conversation about natural immunity for the first time, 18 months into a pandemic, bro, I got questions. All right. So that's it, y'all. I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Subscribe to the channel. Share the video. If you want vitamin D, the link is in the description, and I'll holler at y'all later. All right. And remember, this is our community, our responsibility. We have what it takes. We just got to put in the work. All right. Love y'all. Peace.